Hey guys, thought I'd show you how I refurbish a line pretty much. First thing I do is, and these are the older, 73 and older. That was for Steve. Anyway, lines. The first thing I do is kind of give it a health check to say, to figure out if I think it's going to hold in there or not. And let me see if I can show you. Let me get the light right on. Yeah. See right in here? On the wrench flats, they oftentimes have, let's get my fingers out there so you can see. Well, you can see there's a couple hairline cracks in that one. Okay. And maybe on that side, if I can get the light just right. That's hard to do. Anyway, maybe you got a glimpse of that in there. Okay. So I've seen that where it's really bad. This one would probably survive, So I would go ahead and use this one. It seems flexible. It doesn't seem like it's damaged badly. So anyway, you'll find, when you look at yours, there's going to be some kind of glue or something in here. A lot of it oozes out because they never wiped it off nice. So the first thing, I used to leave the brass in the nylon and try and fix the seats with this line attached. It was just a nightmare. And I was afraid to remove this from this. Okay, because I wasn't sure. And lately I just kind of got brave, and I've started doing them by just pulling this completely out. Okay, and I found it's kind of no big deal. So this one's been out obviously before, but so just pull it out. And the first thing I do is I get in here, and if there's any of the sealant left, which I believe was epoxy glue, okay. It looks like epoxy glue, and it kind of felt like epoxy glue, and if it looks that way and feels that way, it probably is that way. But and then I get in and try to clean out the threads, Then I'll take the line and I'll just dribble. I take carb cleaner, just kind of shoot some in the hole here, and then I'll blow it through with like 20 pounds of air. Okay, now don't do that to any of the valves. Don't blow air through any of the valves, because you're liable to blow the ball right through the spring. And if you have the older style like this with the non-serviceable check valves, you're going to ruin it. You're going to blow the ball right through, and it's going to be down here instead of here where it needs to be, and it's not going to check at all. So no air pressure on these. Okay. So anyway, after I blow it through this way, I'll turn it over. I just keep working with it until it's clean, until I can get it as clean as it'll get. You want to pay special attention into here, because we don't want any little flakes of anything sealing our hole up when we put our valve back in ultimately. Okay, and I'll show you what I do there. So the next thing is we got to get the two halves apart, and that's absolute rocket science there, because you have to take a vise with wooden jaws. And please use wooden or plastic or something. Don't go steel to brass, because I've seen these things that are just really messed up. I've seen a couple of them had the bolt hex on here, which meant they didn't even have a washer on the thing when they bolted it in the bike. So that's got to be worked off, machined off or whatever. So, pay special attention to these surfaces, make sure they're nice too. But anyway, so to get them loose, I just stick them in that one's already loose. I just stick them in a vise, wooden, jaws, plastic, whatever, something soft. 12, I can never say millimeter. 12 millimeter, and then just bump it, and they should come pretty loose, Now I have seen come loose pretty easy. I have seen some of these where they were so tight that the crush washer, and I'll show you that later, is actually swaged up into here, because somebody has tightened these so tight that it's distorted the aluminum up in here and shoved it out into the threads, and you can't get them out. I got to stick them in my lathe and carefully machine that thing till it's paper thin and pick it out. So anyway, don't over tighten them is the moral of that story. So anyway, we've loosened it. Now we're going to pull it apart, and this is what you're going to find in there. Not much really. And a lot of this, everybody knows, so I'm just going to preaching to the choir, I guess. But you'll find your ball, your old spring, and let me see here. Oh no, my pick. Hang on. Hey, we're back. Okay, in here is an aluminum crush washer. There we go. Just comes right out, and it should just come right out like that. But that's the one that when they tighten it so tight, it'll flare it out, and just like I say, swage right back in here, and you can't get them out. So anyhow, that's all we have. So the next thing I do is start cleaning. I'll polish, I clean in here real good, try to get as clean as you can. We don't want any junk getting back in the engine. This pocket, I think, is very important because the spring ride's in there. So I get in here and I clean that very well, and I'll even go as far as polishing it. Okay, you can get a Q-tip in there, and however you want to spin the Q-tip, whatever, and some Moz or semi-chrome or some Mothers, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever will shine brass up, and I get that pocket pretty shiny in there. Same with this. I'll clean this all up, and this one has the seat cut, as I mentioned in another video. But whether yours is cut or not, if you can cut them, good. If not, let's put it back together and see if they leak. Okay. Some of them don't. I don't know what the percentage is. It's about 50-50, I guess, if I had to guess. So you might be all right, you might not. Okay. But anyway, get it all clean in there. Now Q-tips, pipe cleaners fit right through there. Okay, so you can do that, and they'll fit through the body too. And then when I get it all where I think it's clean enough, I go out in the garage and I take some carb cleaner and I blow all this out and wash it out, because we don't want any pieces of the pipe cleaner or anything sticking in there, or it's not going to seal, right? Okay, so we get it all clean, we're ready to put it back together. And the first thing I want to show you is the difference in the two springs. There you go. Okay, the one on over here, I don't know my left from my right, is the older one, and you can see it's kind of bent because it's been mangled, but you can see how close the coils are together. Okay, all right. The newer ones are going to be longer and spread apart a little bit more. Same wire, it's just a different configuration to get us from the old 2.3 pounds to the new 4.7 pounds. Okay, and if you notice, see if I can get, we have a small end right there. Okay, and this one's upside down from that point of view, but the small end's right here. Okay, and you want to make sure you identify that. Anyway, because the ball will fall right in. Here's a new spring and a new ball, and I always mess this up in the video, but it'll just, let's see, am I in there? Yeah, I am. So it'll just fall right in. It's in there. Okay, so we got to make sure we get that the right way. Come out. Okay, good. So we take our old ball, old spring, set it aside, throw it away, whatever we're going to do, and now we're all clean. We're ready to go back together. Okay, one thing you want to do, I don't know if you can see this or not. Try to get in there. Okay, I want to just move it around, because sooner or later the light will catch it right, and you'll see on the very edge here a little rim, a little indentation, okay, a little edge. Now if I turn it over, you'll notice, see if I move it around a little bit, it's all flat, okay, and we'll just kind of go all the way around so we can maybe get some light on there. And this flat side obviously sat on the inside of the cap, which meant that the side with the raised lip on it sat on the boss of this valve. So we want to make sure we get it on the right way, the same way. Now I don't put that on quite yet, but we want to make sure it's, or we want to put it on the same way it came off. So we're going to stick the spring in. Yeah. We're going to set that on there. Okay. And then we're going to put the ball on top. And make sure you get the small end up or the ball will what? Fall through? Yeah, no. Preaching to the choir. Okay. Cap. Put it together. Okay, now. And everybody knows this part. I'm just talking to myself, I think. Okay, now what I do then is I do this several times to make sure that that crush washer seated, kind of where it was. Then I'll snug this. And I don't snug it like I'm done, because I might have to take this back apart if it leaks and try to seal it, you know, it may just not seal. It may have a piece of pipe cleaner stuck in, or a piece of Q-tip, or whatever, you know. So I just snug a little bit so that it won't just come apart. Okay. Then, now comes the testing. So we're ready to test. What I use, and this is just, I'm going to zoom out here. Okay. Is these tubes. Okay. And I just whip these up. They got a vent, you know, just a cap, keep dust out, and another plug one so I can turn the tube over like that and put it in here. Don't do that. Okay. There you go. And then this end here is made like my new lines, okay, wherever those are. There's one, okay, with the O-ring in it. Whoop, get over there, okay. And that's all I do is I stick an O-ring on the valve, and I screw it in there. Okay, then I can hang this baby up and test the valve. Now this is 18 inches tall roughly, okay. So I'm going to set this one aside, and we're going to get out a different one that you can make, or you can make those, whichever. I don't care which, you know, how you do it. But here's what I used to use, the test rig I used to use. Okay, and it's just a piece of 1/2 inch OD tubing, and you know, now that our shoulder is really nice and shiny because we cleaned it up real good, yeah. You just warm that up with a heat gun and slide it right over, and it works great. And then you can, you know, tie wrap a stick or a wire, or strap it to a board, whatever you feel, you know, whatever you want to do. Then you can make it about 18 inches long, and then fill it with oil and hang them up. And you'll know within about an hour whether you got issues or not, okay? Now I hang them for 3 days, and if I don't see any oil accumulating here, and my level, you know, up here didn't drop, then I call them good, and I hang, like I say, 3 days. But I know within about an hour or two if I'm going to have an issue, because the level will drop, and I'll start to get pulling down in the banjo bolt section. So this is, you know, what you can use to test. Okay, so once you have tested your valves and they're all good, we need to put the line back together. So, you know, we since we passed the test, right, I've snugged these up to where, you know, not grossly tight, but just to where they're not going to come apart on the bike, which is a little tighter than what we had them for the testing, because hey, they worked great and we didn't have to take them apart, right? Okay, so we're going to wrench that down just a skosh more and put it in the line. Now what I do is I dry run a lot of things because I only want to do it once. That doesn't make sense, does it? Okay. So I put these things together, and I do two things. One of them is I run it in until it kind of bottoms out in the nylon, okay? And you say, okay, that's as far as it's going to go. We don't want to force it, or we're liable. I'm going to zoom back in here. Okay. We don't want to force it because we might crack through on these wrench flat sides. And that's where it'll always be, seems. But so I ran it down till there's no gap here, and we're just kind of snug. But the problem is, as you can see, that ain't going to fit the engine, okay? We're a little out of plane there, you know. So you say, oh yeah, okay. So you, get the wrong part. Ah, come on. There we go. So we back that off. I didn't tighten that, so I'm having fits. Until we go, oh no, not quite. And you go, oh yeah, okay, that looks pretty good. And this I'm holding it on the pump. And this is compared to the block, right? Because it's got a line. So then I go, well, all right, and then we got this gap here, whatever it is, you know, and you can take a magic marker and make a mark on there, and hopefully it'll stay, you know. And then I pull it back out, and I do a couple things. I look for anything that might have got in there again, okay, and I might even do that a couple times to make sure my threads, you know, are clean. I'm not breaking loose any flakes of anything that are going in there. You know, I'm just trying to be ultra clean, ultra careful. So we got past all that. Okay, so then I mix up a batch of 2-part epoxy is what I've been using. The 20 minutes seems to work fine. It gives me 20 minutes to make a mistake. There you go. Make a little batch of that, and I just smear it right on the shoulder, which is all nice and clean now, right? And don't get it up into the threads because we don't want any glue getting and plugging the hole. Makes sense, okay? Real easy. And you know, you don't have to try to guess how much. I put it under pretty liberally, you know. Then we're going to screw it together. And you're going to be doing this with your engine block close by. Just because. And we got our mark that we made, which I didn't make one. And we just line that up, okay? And glue's going to ooze out, and that's great. Then you're going to want to stick it through the hole, put your finger on the pump, and see if it lines up with the boss on your case. And just keep messing, tighten a little bit more. I can tell that wouldn't, you know. And then the pumps are canted a little bit, so now that might be good. I don't know, you know. And you just keep doing that. When you get that, you're done. Really, take some alcohol or whatever, and wipe your glue off so it looks pretty, and then set it aside and do the next one. That's about it. Thanks, guys.